One Star Cowboys podcast, presented by Haymaker. Now here's your host, Kevin K.T. Turner.
All right, welcome to the One Star Cowboys podcast. I'm Kevin Turner with John Machota and Saad Youssef and Kent Garrison. And we are live at the Haymaker Studios for the video version. If you're listening on audio, follow Haymaker Network there. Video will be out on YouTube. Let's start with you, John. The Cowboys won on Thanksgiving Day against the Chiefs. How surprised are you that we are talking about a playoff race right now?
Oh, extremely surprised. Not just because of really the Cowboys, but just the rest of the league. You know, the Bears being the 1 seed right now in the NFC, the Eagles not looking like what I thought they would be by the end of the season. The Rams have kind of exceeded expectations to a certain level. And then the Lions and Packers haven't been as good as I thought they would be. And so it's kind of left the door cracked a little bit. You know, I didn't think that would happen when they went into the bye 3-5-1. So, and then getting Quentin Williams is a game changer. You can tell it just the way it's impacted the entire team, not just the defense. I think that's the part where everything changed when you got him, but then you also started getting DeMar Van Overshown back, Savon Ravel, and then obviously the safeties too are kind of the one that's lost in the mix there that people really don't mention a lot. But Quentin Williams, number one, I think that's you can sit there and be critical of whatever we said before the season started and making our predictions, but we would all change our predictions if you said, well, yeah, but after the bye, they're going to have Quentin Williams. That's going to change things.
Yeah, for sure. And I think also just what's happening around them too. I thought it was interesting to hear Jerry Tuesday morning on the Fan talk about how the path to the playoffs is best through the division as opposed to the wild card. Just looking at the schedule, the way that things play out, the hole that they found themselves in. I also think it kind of speaks to how Jerry feels about the Eagles because they don't look good, and they didn't look good even when they were winning games. But now they're in a situation where if they go through a 2023 like tailspin, that division is still very much in play. And now I think that tie could be somewhat of a benefit to the Cowboys, at least when it comes to tiebreaker scenarios where they would lose a lot of them just because of common opponents or conference record, but now that could be an edge for them too. Yeah,
the Eagles are not fun to watch, at least offensively. They're pretty fun to
but
watch
you
on
think
defense.
that they're going to turn it on because you've seen them do it. You think that, it's starting to get later in the season. They're not. Okay, they don't have Lane Johnson. But outside of that, it's not like they're decimated by injuries.
Sure.
So the fact that it's not looking like the way they're playing now, if that's the way the season was, you would think that season would have started like that. Like there was a Super Bowl hangover. But they were playing like that and still winning games. So you're just like, yeah, that's just what they do. They play with their food for a little bit, but they end up winning these games anyway. But now you're starting to really question, all right, maybe they aren't the juggernaut that I thought they were.
It's just so beautiful that they, on Black Friday, get a big A.J. Brown 10-catch, 2-touchdown game, and then lose. When they'd been winning with him getting like 2 catches, because he's been the one griping, and making comments, and maybe deservedly so. Like maybe those are all fair comments. I don't know why I turned this into an Eagles podcast.
No, but also I think for them, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, that's fine. To me, the two biggest problems are in the backfield. It's Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley, and until they can get those two things figured out, I mean, it's going to be bad. But yeah, I think the Cowboys, if they are able to win the division this year, that would be insane.
To bring it back to the Cowboys, though, I will say if that is to happen, the biggest thing we will point to for both teams is the 21-0.
Oh,
the fact
gosh,
that you
yes.
21-0,
Mm-hmm.
and then the Kevontae Turpin fumble, and then for you to come back, if you're the Cowboys, overcome that, win that game, go on this stretch that I would think probably has to end on, you're probably going to have to win at least 4, if not all 5 of your remaining games. So you're ending on a possible 7-8 game winning streak. And then for the Eagles to fall apart like that when they were sitting pretty up 21-0, thinking that they're just going to blow them out, that would be the moment for both teams.
Okay, so we're going to get into a little bit of Cowboys and Lions here in a little bit. Again, if you're watching this on YouTube, thank you. I know we've been like an audio podcast for a long time, and we still are that. Nothing's changing there. But I also do want to tell you that you can go find us on YouTube if you want to see our faces. The Haymaker Network is what you would follow. Subscribe to on YouTube.
Two of us work in radio, so we have faces for radio. But John, you can go see John.
Yeah, John's the model. You're going to want to look for John. He's the face of this franchise. Let's start now, and let's go inside the blue tent. Trayvon Diggs' practice window is open. It feels like everyone's being a little vague about, like, is he going to play Thursday night? And we still kind of don't know, even if he will. I still don't know what's going on and what the specific injury is. Can you clear up some of these things? What's going on inside the blue tent?
So this one with Trayvon Diggs, it has nothing to do with the concussion he got at home last month. It has more to do with the knee, swelling in the knee that came back. He's dealt with multiple knee injuries now throughout his career. I just think it's interesting how, people will talk about how, well, what are you really getting out of Jerry and Steven talking on the radio all the time? I'll tell you what you get. You listen to the last two Jerry and Steven interviews, they made it very clear that they need Trayvon Diggs out there practicing, because they've both said in so many words, when Trayvon plays his best on Sunday, it's because he's practiced well during the week. And so I think that's part of it. It's the injury thing, but then also practicing well and performing well. And it's an interesting spot, too, because they've gotten in an area where early in the season, we never even would have considered that, when he's healthy, he'll come right back. But Revel played every snap the past game. Kalen Carson played every snap the game before that. And then I think with the addition of Quinnen Williams, Deron Bland has looked more like his old self. And so it's not the automatic, Diggs is healthy, put him back out there. And so I think he's still working his way back. I would think that them being on a 3-game winning streak probably wants him to be out there. He probably wants to be out there more than he probably maybe did before then, but to be a part of something like this. I thought he was moving well the last 2 days in practice, so I would think Jerry says it's game time decision. I think there's a good chance he plays in this game. The biggest one, though, is J.W. Clowney. He hasn't practiced either day this week. He's probably a true game time decision with a hamstring injury. I could see them possibly keeping him out, which would be a big loss for them. He's been arguably their best pass rusher. So those are the two, and then Tyler Guyton would be the other one. I don't think he'll go in this game, so that means another start for Nate Thomas at left tackle, which I think he's done pretty well there. So those are your biggest injuries for sure right now.
Yeah, I think with the defensive ones, both Diggs and Clowney, it's interesting because you're facing a Lions team that otherwise would, at full strength, you would have a lot of problems. But without Laporta, probably without Amon-Ra St. Brown, this could be like a good little ease in game for some of the defensive guys, especially like specifically Diggs. But also I think when you look at the way the Cowboys defense has played, it's been good at home. We still need to see them do it on the road as well. So I think this will be kind of a good for them. And then all the stuff we've been talking about, Quinnen Williams, they have not seen and probably will not see something like Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery in terms of a rushing attack. The offensive line for the Lions still a little patchy, and obviously their center not coming back out of retirement. But if they're able to contain Gibbs and Montgomery, that'll be huge.
Yeah, the Frank Ragnow thing for Detroit's kind of funny because he's like, not funny, but he's like, hey, I'm good to come back. And they're like, well, you don't have a hamstring right now. Like, how did he think that he was going to be good?
I have no idea, but I also don't know how he would wait till June to say that he's going to retire too. You didn't know that in March, so they possibly could have drafted somebody or done something in free agency.
Sure.
Not doing that until June certainly hurt them.
One more thing I want to mention inside the blue tent, even it's more of a roster type thing, and this goes back to something. So after the game on Thursday, and DallasCowboys.com puts out the post-game locker room celebration thing, I did think it was at least something that the whole locker room goes nuts when Shoddy mentions Malik Davis for his touchdown. And then it's the first time, and I could be wrong because I haven't seen all of them, but I think it's the first time he's mentioned a special teams tackle when he's running down the stat sheet, and they all go, yeah. And he goes, so after Malik Davis gets the touchdown, he also had a special teams tackle. And I couldn't help but take my thoughts to Jaden Blue. And then we see that we've added, running back Israel Abanaconda from the practice squad. He was a guy who was with the Jets when he got drafted. He was on the Packers practice squad for about a year. And I was like, oh, my God, Jaden Blue's stock is the lowest it's ever been. And I'm not trying to run over Jaden Blue, but it does say something. Like, if you just think about all the offseason discourse, and then you fast forward to a Thanksgiving Day game win over the Chiefs, and we're all celebrating Malik Davis, it just made me go, man, any take we had from 3 months ago, it's crazy. If we took all our takes and just put them next to each other, we'd be like, that's crazy. We were taking crazy pills.
Well, if we go back to then, I think the biggest thing that would stand out is that Javonte Williams has played as well as he has. Because I certainly thought with them drafting Jaden Blue and not really doing anything significant in the offseason that, this is lining up for Jaden Blue to be the guy, to take the job, be this, this big play back that complements CD and George Pickens in the passing game. That just hasn't happened. And I don't think it's for a lack of opportunities. I just don't think he's doing the things that they need him to behind the scenes. And then for Malik Davis to carve out a role on special teams and then be a guy where they're like, well, he's going to be on the active roster. We need him on special teams. He's the personal protector. We have to have him out there. Now, he can run pretty well, too, as your backup running back. Okay, now you got something there. But it all goes back to that. They didn't do enough at running back in the offseason. I mean, they didn't. At the end of the day, Javonte Williams probably going over 1,000 yards, going to have a career year, and that's great. But they didn't do enough at running back. Yeah,
and also I think we were all kind of colored by the last year and a half with Cowboys running backs, where we're talking about how the Trey Lance 4th-round pick could have been Bucky Irving or whatever, and all of a sudden you get Jaden Blue in the 5th round, and the running back situation was so bad in 2024. I think maybe in our heads collectively, I'm talking as a people just looking at the Cowboys running back situation, maybe we kind of oversold, because how many fan bases, how many teams are really looking at a 5th-round running back who had question marks in college and viewing him as like a critical part and as a savior of the backfield? Like, we were kind of doing that because we were fed Zeke Elliott, the ghost of Ezekiel Elliott, for a whole year. And so it just fell. And then they got like Miles Sanders and Javonte Williams. So I think that had something to do with it. And I agree with John. I think Javonte Williams is the bigger conversation piece here, because I don't think any of us saw that he was going to be what he became.
Maybe a large part of the Jaden Blue thing, too, is just that he played at Texas. Like, your 5th-round running back that you draft from BYU, we're probably not going, but we had seen him, and it's just, there's a regional,
and I just think because the bar is so low. You just look at, okay, you had Zeke, you had Tony Pollard, you had Sal, I mean, even if you go before then, I mean, you had Darren McFadden, you had Marco Murray, you had other guys, and this is like, it's weird how it's flipped from, they used to spend probably too much on running back and not nearly enough on defensive tackle, to where now that they've spent a ton on defensive tackle, and now running back is kind of like a forgotten thing. And it makes me wonder, with the success of Javonte Williams, if this is the plan going forward. We'll find another guy like that. And that's kind of a risky thing to go about into the offseason, that we're just going to find another guy. I think you do have to invest a day, not necessarily use one of your ones, but probably a day 2 pick on running back, so that you have this guy under contract for the next 4 years. And that's a position that, you can get a lot of value out of a young running back. I'm surprised that they did not do that.
Also, KT, this new guy that they added to the practice squad, where when you look at Malik Davis in the reaction post-game, if this guy had the same game that Malik Davis did, it doesn't get that reaction. Because remember, Malik Davis has been in the building for years. Schottenheimer's been in the building for years. They all know him. They've kind of seen him grind on the practice squad. So there's a little player team favorite part of it too, where they kind of see him come up from that, get his big opportunity and do that. So
Scotty played at Florida. Malik Davis played at Florida. We know what's going on here.
Congrats to Florida on their new coach, taking the Tulane coach. Funny. SEC, Big 12 schools are just raiding the American Athletic Conference. Go Mean Green. The next thing I want to do is take this to the playoff race and playoff chances. I would like to imagine that, you guys work at The Athletic. Follow John and Sod, by the way, everyone, and subscribe to their work at the Athletic, because they have the NFL playoff simulator that is now kind of seen as the best tool for this. Like, NFL.com still runs their thing out there, but this is way better. And I'd like to imagine that you guys were consultants behind the scenes saying, what if we did this? Put on the playoff chances if they win. And I just kind of want to work through it for a second, because we have 5 games left. At the Lions, you have the Vikings, you have the Chargers, at Commanders, at Giants. And if you're watching on YouTube on the Haymaker Network, I've got it pulled up for us, but we'll talk through it as well. Let's
Can we just do my favorite one first?
Yes, please.
This is the one that I think is most interesting, is put a loss on this game.
Okay.
And then put them winning out.
So 4-1 in the last 5, but lose Thursday night, and we're at 40%.
I don't think that there's another game that they can lose that's as well. I guess, you know what? Maybe if you lose another division game, but this is a must win.
Yeah.
You can't lose. And I think a lot of it with that, I don't know, what's it, 4,000 simulations, has it because you're probably you could come down to you and the Lions for that last spot,
Yeah.
And
Also, if you're going to lose one game, it's got to be the Chargers because at least it's a non-conference opponent
For sure.
for tiebreakers and all that stuff.
I'll tell you that tiebreaker one on the conference is going to be real tough to jump. The Niners.
Yeah.
Niners, I think, are like 8-2 in the conference. So
40% if you lost this week but won the final four.
yeah.
If you ran the table here, 98%. There's the clear way in. Now I'm gonna say I'm gonna work a version of this where let's say they beat the Lions,
Okay.
they beat the Vikings and whoever they're running at quarterback, whether it's McCarthy or Max Brosmer. But let's say the Chargers. Let's say Herbert gets healthy. Chargers need to win. Tough game there, but you're 4-1. You beat the Commanders. You beat the Giants. So 4-1 in the last 5 games, but you lose to the Chargers. You're still 53%. I think that's pretty good. The other things that you could work in, you could have a lot of fun with. I think something that sucks, and
It's only 4,000 simulations. Can we trust that? I need 10,000
I need
minimum.
10,000 actually, yes. But like I think it sucks that the 49ers and the Panthers don't get a chance to lose this week. The week 14 bye's got to go away, as well as the week 5 bye. Those are 2 things that need to stop.
For sure.
We need to condense that into too much. You should not be in December and getting bye weeks. And it'd be nice if San Francisco lost because right now, if you just looked at it, they're the 7 seed. That could all change clearly. Green Bay and Chicago have a crazy schedule and playing each other twice, so they're going to beat up on each other. You've got Detroit. The Seattle thing, I mean, with the Rams losing to the Panthers, now that Panthers game comes back into focus. I mean, so much happened. And while it does feel like you're sniffing around, you're in the hunt, it does feel like it was kind of riding on this Thursday night.
Yeah. Also, though, if you look at San Francisco, I know they have the bye week, and then they have a second bye week after that when they play the Titans. But after that, they got Colts, Bears, and Seahawks, and all 3 of those teams could be playing with things on the line, whether it's a playoff spot, division, or the top seed. So that's going to be a tough finish for the 49ers as well there.
I will say, though, you talk about the losing to the Panthers, and then obviously the Bears loss. Those are 2 that you look at when they happen because, and you're very critical of them at the time because we're thinking of what they were when the season started. And so now, you see how things play out, and you kind of are like, hey, the Bears are a good team. And the Panthers are good, even though I still think that Panthers game, they absolutely should have won. But it's the Cardinals. Yeah. That's the one that you're going to look back on and go, I mean, you can't have that.
Yeah.
Just like 2023.
Yeah.
Unbelievable, yeah.
That was the Cardinals game too, but yeah.
Okay, I want you guys to answer at the same time. Okay, after I ask the question, just go 1, 2, 3, say your answer.
No.
What's
That's
no, that's not one of the options.
No, sorry.
More likely to make the playoffs, Cowboys or Chiefs? 1, 2, 3, shoot.
Cowboys.
More likely to make the playoffs, Cowboys or Lions? 1, 2, 3.
Cowboys.
You've sneakily told me your pick for Thursday night then.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, let's move on to the clash then. Cowboys and Lions. That's going to be a fun one Thursday night. Weird Thursday night schedule still, but then you'll get the big off day. So if you make it through the gauntlet, as we've been calling it all year long, at 3-0, that would be incredible. So I brought up something earlier, though, about the Lions running the ball. There's still 2 things for me that the Cowboys need to prove. And I'm not trying to be a wet blanket on this party that we're having lately, okay? I just want to say that they still have not played a team that's tried to run the ball at all on them. And one thing that I think they haven't done and they need to prove is go win a big game on the road because the Raiders game doesn't count. That was basically a Cowboys game, like a home game. The Eagles at home, Chiefs at home, great. We've talked about this over the years. The big signature road victory is something we need to get to, and this would be it Thursday night.
Yeah, and the environment, too, is a factor for me, just because I don't think that they're going to have anything close to what they had in Las Vegas in terms of Cowboys fans there. And so your closest comp on their schedule is probably the Denver game. And that noise is going to be an issue, and it's been an issue for the offense in the past when they've had some communication problems. And so that would be the one area where I will say I expect Ford Field to be rocking. They know that their season's on the line. It's a night game. Certainly that is their next test, no question. CD Lamb was asked about that the other day, and he tried to downplay it. that like, no, it's just their next game. They just have to win that one. But there's no question that is the next thing, is to win against a good team in their place. Because let's be honest, if they make the playoffs, that's what they're going to have to do. They're not going to be hosting games at AT&T Stadium, obviously, unless they were to somehow win the division.
Yeah. Also, I think if they're able to get through this game against Detroit, it will check all the boxes for the last 3 weeks. I mean, that checks all the boxes for, the home stretch. You beat a team that's top tier in offense, like we talked about after the game. The Chiefs, even as we sit right now going into this week, they're the second best offensive team by EPA in the entire league right now. And they were at full strength. You beat the Eagles and you showed, the ability to come back from 21-0. So yeah, if they're able to do this, even though there's no St. Brown, even though there's no Laporta, I still think this would be really impressive, because you're right that the Lions are unequivocally going to try to run the ball. They could be down by as much as 14. They're still going to keep running the ball. And you have Goff at home, and Goff on the road is a problem for the Lions, but Goff at home is pretty solid. So I'll be curious to see and how they kind of do this, especially when they just really have to do Jameson Williams.
I don't have 4,000 simulations in my head, so I'm just going to go off the last 30 years. And my last 30 years of the Dallas Cowboys simulation is them winning and then losing one of those Giants Washington games.
Oh yeah.
And that's the one loss they have. Like one of these games where just like you assume, oh, well, they'll beat them now. I mean, they just beat, they're on there was winning streak. They just beat Detroit and Minnesota and the Chargers. They'll definitely, and then they lose one of those games and they miss playoffs because of that.
It's really weird that Dak's career has turned into Romo's career.
Yeah.
Because that's what this feels like.
Yeah.
I've seen all those late season games. The other thing though, Saad mentioned, full strength. The Lions are not that. Like the Lions might need this more than the Cowboys. Well, that's whatever. But like the Lions, and then you get Ross St. Brown hurt on Thanksgiving Day. It looks like he's not going to go. Still not fully certain on that, but it doesn't feel like he's going to play. The backup center was a problem. Is actually the guy that rolled his ankle the other day.
It's not good.
So that's a problem. I learned that a guy named Ross Dwelley exists. I did not know that was a human on this planet. Ross Dwelley was getting red zone targets. Practice squad guy Tom Kennedy was getting targets on Thanksgiving Day.
Caught a touchdown, didn't he? Big play.
I think Tesla had a touchdown.
Tesla had a touchdown. Tesla's kind of the touchdown maker, though.
Yeah.
He just does touchdowns. That's kind of all he's developing.
Well, I think you got to throw to him.
Yeah.
I think that's part of it.
Never throw to him.
Yeah. That's the thing about Goff. He likes to lock in on his favorites, and two of his favorites are probably not playing in this game, and that's Laporta and Amon St. Brown. So he's going to have to adjust a little bit. It
does feel like focus in, and let's just kind of keep two guys on Jameson Williams. Mm-hmm. And then you make Tom Kennedy, and those guys beat you, because it's not a lot of names. I was kind of shocked at how ravaged their wide receiver room was once St. Brown went out.
Even after Laporta, I think Brock Wright has been DNP. He's not playing either. So that's their backup tight end. So, just imagine the Cowboys going into a game with Luke Schoonmaker instead, because Stanford and Ferguson were out. It's not pretty in Detroit, and it feels. I feel bad because I've grown an affinity for the Lions just because of John, and I want to see John happy. And for a franchise that's been as down bad as they are, it just sucks that the football gods have had this injury thing with the Lions for the last couple of years. They just feels really like, if they had Aiden Hutchinson last year, what happens, all kinds of stuff. So, yeah, they're in an unfortunate situation.
Yeah, and obviously losing Ben Johnson has been a big one for them. Their offensive coordinator, now the Bears head coach, that there's no question about that. But yeah, in terms of their weapons on offense, there's just not a lot there in the passing game aside from this. You can throw something in the flat to Jahmyr Gibbs that he takes 75 to the house. So as soon as you fall asleep and think that 3 and out, he's the one thing you got to worry about. And if you haven't watched the Lions, the one game I would say that would stand out, and if you watch the Thanksgiving game against the Giants, I mean, there was nothing else working, but when he was touching the ball, it was like these could be home run shots every single time. Yeah. And so because of that, that's the one thing that they have to be cognizant of. And I think they will be.
And then that goes back to that thing we were talking about earlier. It's just the Lions might be the first team since we've got Quinnen Williams that actually tries to run the ball. Everyone else gave up on it or didn't even try. I just think that's we still don't know. And I would like to like to see that, just to know that David Montgomery is the type of guy who would have ran through the Cowboys defensive line over the years as well. And maybe that's all fixed. Another thing I would say too about them is on the offensive side, Terry and Arnold, the cornerback, is hurt. And so the strength of the team, CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens, feels like could have a big day. The Packers certainly had a big day. I mean, a lot of play action involved and things like that, but the Cowboys are trying to do that. So I do see the clear path.
I'm just calling this out right now because we talked about it on one of our previous pods. Just don't assume what you saw on Thanksgiving from the officials will be the same every game. And I could see the Lions being real physical with those receivers, and fans are going to be pissed off that they're not calling the same calls they called. But I'm just telling you, that's the way the game is. And I only bring this up because that's the style that Detroit plays, is a very physical on the back end. So, I mean, Terry and Arnold, when he was out there, I mean, you'd be hard-pressed to find a corner that grabbed more than he does, that got more flags than he did. I mean, that's just his style of play. First-round pick, and he's a big corner. That's how he played. But that's how their entire defense plays. And so, no, but that's one of those things where I could see fans getting annoyed with, because I tweeted this out the other day that there's no team that has drawn more defensive pass interference calls than the Cowboys, and that's because of, George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb.
Also, last note I had in here, don't let Aiden Hutchinson ruin the game. So, Nate Thomas game, right? Likely Nate Thomas.
Yeah.
The winner of the Travis Frederick Blocking Hunger Charity Foundation long drive contest. I like to mention that every time. 340 yards, smash. I think he can handle Aiden Hutchinson.
And that makes a lot of sense. I did not know that. Now I've just totally changed my thoughts. No, he's interesting to me because does he play left tackle well enough that you move Tyler Guyton to right tackle in the offseason? Everything that the team says about Nate Thomas is that he's on the trajectory that they want and that they really like him a lot. He's clearly, going into the season, was the best swing tackle they've probably had in 10-plus years.
What a steal that would be if that...
That would be the only... no
pun intended.
That's why I thought you said that.
No, I wasn't. No.
That if they aren't happy with Terrence Steele and the money he's making, I wonder if that becomes a factor there. Or keeping Guyton at left tackle and maybe having Nate Thomas play on right. Because in practices, they've been having... Up until this point, Nate was getting a lot of reps at both right and left tackle. So, I mean, it's a good problem to have, if you have a tackle go down. But it's hard for me not to look into the future and go, I wonder if he's part of their starting plans going forward, and then maybe they draft a swing tackle or something like that. So,
enough beating around the bush. Let's do some picks. John has the lead. Kent is in second place. Sod is in third place. And I'm in last, and I'm not doing well. The games this week are going to be Cowboys-Lions. We're going to do Bears at Packers. And then I was going to do the Monday night game with the Eagles and the Chargers, but then we got the broken hand from Justin Herbert. And I personally hope Herbert is able to play. But I do think there is a whole full circle thing with Trey Lance would be your starting quarterback if Herbert can't play in a game that you would like the Chargers to beat the Eagles. So because that line could shift with Herbert's hand, I think the red-hot Houston Texans and the dwindling Kansas City Chiefs is an interesting one. So Cowboys are 3-point underdogs here, John. They're getting 3 points in Detroit. Who are you taking?
Well, I mean, I'm taking the Cowboys straight up. So yeah, with the points for sure. And honestly, I wouldn't have 4 or 5 weeks ago. But it really comes down to all the Lions injuries and just how, I mean, the Cowboys, these last few weeks, that's the best football the Cowboys have played in at least 2 years, probably longer than that. I mean, even Dak said the other day, he goes that he was asked if this might be the best team he's been on entering December in terms of how they're playing, confidence, things like that. And he had to think about it for a second. He goes, yeah, it might be. That's saying a lot considering they had 12 win seasons 3 years in a row that he was on the team, 21, 22, and 23. They won 13 games his rookie year. Yeah. And there's just a part of him that feels like, hey, the way that they're playing, the confidence, how healthy they are at key spots in that. So, yeah, no, I think the Cowboys went outright. So, yeah, I'll take those 3 points.
Sod?
Yeah, I'm taking the Cowboys as well. I think the injuries are one thing. I just think the Cowboys are also playing with the swagger. If you watch the sounds of the sideline that the Cowboys put out after wins, just the way that Dak is kind of rolling right now, the way he's talking, the way he's all the guys are kind of responding to him. I think I think that plays a big role, but I also just think the talent-wise, the Cowboys are really good on both sides of the ball, and that's if Trayvon Diggs comes back, I'll be really interested to see how that impacts just the entire demeanor and everything. But overall, I think the Cowboys are just a better team right now.
Kent, what about you?
Dallas, KT.
Dallas +3, putting me in a tough position in last place.
Can you update us on the standings?
Yeah. John is first, 19 and 16. Kent second, 17 and 18. Sod third, 16 and 19. And I'm way in the back at 13 and 22.
You're going to Topeka, KT.
But it's a reminder that picking games against the spread is tough. It's not usually a winner's proposition. So
we'll see you in Topeka.
That is the payoff from earlier in the year. For those that don't know, losers got to go to Topeka. I will, for game theory reasons only, take Detroit -3. I do think the Cowboys are going to win. Sod, we'll start with you this time. Packers, Bears. This game in Lambeau, 3:25 Sunday. Packers 5.5-point favorites.
Yeah, give me the Packers. I think it's tough. You know what? Actually, I'm going to take the Bears the points. I think the Packers win. I just think it's going to be a 3-point win or something like that. So, I think, it's just Caleb Williams. The way that he's been playing right now, it's very dangerous. It's very hot and cold. It's very and the Packers defense is legit. Micah is legit. I think the Packers will be able to contain them, but I don't know how I feel about the Packers offense right now.
Cowboys element that I want people to watch. I'll go next here. 14 degrees with the chance of snow. How does Micah Parsons handle the cold weather? He's been on record saying he doesn't love it. And, 40-degree games is something. 14-degree games is something completely different. Much like, they also had a big injury with Devontae Wyatt.
Well, I had a question for you real quick on the Packers. If Jaden Reed plays, and I don't know if he plays this week or if he comes back next week, with the way that their whole thing has been going with Watson, Dobbs, and Wicks, like is Jaden Reed instantly the top guy for them?
No, I think it'll still Watson's your big play guy, Dobbs is your possession wide receiver, and Wicks is hopefully you can get him in man coverage. It's always the plan. I don't know how they'll work him in, honestly, because but when he's in the game, Jordan Love looks to him all the time, so he will get looks if he plays. Much like with picks, I'm going with the Bears motto: good, better, best. I'm on the come here, so I'm going to take Bears plus the 5.5 points. I think the way they run the ball is going to be a problem for Green Bay and every team. I do not like what's happening in Chicago right now. Because you can win with inconsistent quarterback play. We know that because of the defending Super Bowl champions. And that's what they're getting. Caleb Williams is not playing awesome, but he's not ruining games. And they're just beating teams on the ground. So Bears plus 5.5, I'll take it. Kent.
I'm picking Chicago. Let's go.
Yeah, Kent loves Chicago. And John.
It's at Lambeau.
Yeah.
5.5. Seems like a lot.
Yeah, it does seem like a lot.
Give me the Packers.
Whoa. Just going to go out there and chunk it on them. Maybe. That might be the plan. Last one here. Kansas City hosting the Texans on Sunday night. 30 degrees is what the weather looks like as we speak. Kansas City needs this one. 3.5-point favorites, surprisingly. We'll start with you, Kent.
Kansas City.
Kansas City minus 3.5. I will take Houston plus 3.5. I think the curse of Taylor Swift has hit, and
finally,
I think it's all over here. John,
I can't pick against the Chiefs at home. They have to lose so much more for me to ever pick against them. I still, even though I did say the Cowboys have a better chance of making the playoffs, I don't know, especially at Arrowhead. Give me the Chiefs.
Saad?
Yeah, give me the Chiefs as well. But if they do lose this game, I think that I would finally put a fork in them for the season. If they lose this game, if they fall to 6-7, because if you look at the standings and if they're in this wild card thing, they've lost to almost every team that they would have the head-to-head against. Whether they play the Chargers again, obviously division, but they've lost to the Bills. If they lose to the Texans, they lost to the Jacksonville Jaguars, who are in the division lead right now, but that could be the Colts. Like, if Chiefs lose here and fall to 6-7, that might be it.
They kind of have the same thing the Cowboys have going. If they lose but run the table after that, 4-1, they would be a 40% chance to make the playoffs. So if they win out, 98%, just like the Cowboys. So there's our picks for the week. Right now, it's time for Jerry Said What?
He can go up and meet the ball above and time it and meet the ball in many different combobulations, so to speak.
Thank you, Jerry.
I mean, for people listening, that's one thing. For people watching it, though, I mean, I'm just happy Matt Mosley has sunglasses on. It's bright down there.
It's bright.
I mean,
he's always got those sunglasses on.
Down in that basement of AT&T Stadium, it's bright.
Combobulations. You guys watch the halftime shows? What'd you guys think there? It's time for halftime show talk.
It was very mid.
I'm not a country music fan, so I didn't like the country music version of Post Malone's hits.
So you guys, were you able to take in the Jack White show? Because that's a tough act to follow. If Detroit is basically just given the reins to Eminem to create their halftime show every year, the Cowboys are going to have to step it up a notch.
The thing is, I didn't watch the Jack White one, but I heard really good things about it. But you talk about Cowboys having to step it up. I thought that this was a big swing. Like Post Malone, when I heard he was doing it, I thought that was going to be really nice. It just didn't materialize the way that I thought it would.
Bringing out Eminem, I think, put it over the top for the Jack White show. Also interesting because I do think that there's a really good chance that Eminem will be at the game on Thursday, and it'll be funny because they'll obviously put him on the big screen. You know, they'll play Lose Yourself and whatever else in that. And I just think it's interesting because I remember when I moved down here, I moved down at the end of 2010, so I was big on like aggregating for the Dallas Morning News, like anything Cowboys related, I would aggregate. And Eminem did this interview with GQ in 2012, and he talked about how he grew up a Lions fan, but because they were so bad, he started becoming a Cowboys fan. And so he went to a Cowboys game in 2011 and met Jerry and hung out with him and talked about how cool he was and stuff like that. And so it's like, I can't see him missing this game, but yeah, the Cowboys were always kind of his backup team that he rooted for there.
That's weird to me.
Yeah.
Also, I don't know if you heard, so Brandon Aubrey on the Dumb Zone podcast, he talked about how Dak talked to the stadium people so that whenever Brandon Aubrey goes out to attempt a kick, they play Till I Collapse.
Okay.
As because he said if he had a walk-up song, it would be that, which is, for our generation, that's the absolute, that's one of the best walk-up songs you can have.
And then Jack White put that whole performance on Spotify like the next day too. And our own Kent, who was in Forever the Sickest Kids, he played a halftime show. All right. So
one of the top Lions Packers Thanksgiving halftimes of all time.
What was that, 2009 or something?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd have to put Jack White featuring Eminem slightly above it.
I'd like to apologize for my previous comment that the Lions had leveled up their halftime shows.
No, they have.
I'm now seeing it as an insult to you, and I would like to take that back.
That was an awesome halftime show. Set the bar extremely high. I mean, when Eminem came out, it totally set it off. I was amazed at, I was around family, it was on Thanksgiving. I was amazed at how many people in my family, cousins and such, had not heard of Jack White.
Wow.
It seems to be
I'm
our
not a
generation.
Jack White listener, but yeah.
Yeah, they're like, who is this?
I've heard of him.
Kent, what's it like to play in the middle of a football field and then you only have like a little bit of fans around the stage and then there's just this big open area? It just seems like kind of bizarre,
Yeah, it is bizarre. It's definitely bizarre. But they fake it pretty well. They get a good crowd down there.
Yeah.
They get contest winners and such, and so
I was walking around the stadium before the game and saw that whole set for Post Malone, and it's crazy like how many people are involved and how many pieces it takes and how quickly they put it together and then how quickly they break it down, because man, there is those NFL halftimes there's just not a lot of wiggle room there. Like you got to be on it.
Well, the thing I saw with Jack, though, it looked like his whole band was playing, which is rare. Usually, if it's a band, the band will be on a track, playing to a track that's pre-recorded, and the vocals will be live because you can, it's easy to mic somebody's vocals live. But yeah, you can't go out there and mic a drum set in 2 minutes and have it sound good. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
but
Have
it looked like
guys-
Jack White's guys were all playing for real. So I don't know if Jack had some requirements like my guy's got to be playing. We have to figure out how we can get on and off with us actually playing, or I'm not doing it. That's what it looked like.
I did run into Post Malone though after the game because I was spending some time down on the field just walking around, and then as I was leaving, him and his entourage walked in and they were
And he was like, Saad Youssef from One Star?
no, I
He recognized him from The Athletic.
I always forget that like there's nothing unethical or wrong for me to ask for a picture with a musician
yeah.
because you're wired in this way where when you go to these games, and I like first time I went to New England, I saw Tom Brady, I was like, can't do that. This is whatever professionalism and stuff. And I always forget, like, wait, I can actually do that with the musicians.
Yeah.
I can't do that
Yeah.
with athletes and things like that. But so I didn't get a picture, but I did get to just exchange pleasantries with them.
And a 10-second complaint about NBC, who promised us a Lil Jon halftime show. Instead, they run a 5-minute John Madden package and give you 30 seconds of turn down for what, and then move on. And I'm like, well, Fox and CBS just dunked on you today because they showed the full halftime show.
Are we gonna?
I think John Madden would have wanted it that way.
Maybe.
Are we gonna do this every Thanksgiving?
They are.
With the Madden thing.
They
Do
are.
we?
Guys, he's a
I
legend,
think
okay?
He is
I
a legend.
understand.
Some
We can't
respect.
honor all legends. He's now getting
But-
preferential treatment among legends.
Speaking of legends.
Speaking of
He
legends, Scott
invented.
Stapp.
He invented Thanksgiving. John
That
Madden.
Drew Bledsoe jersey?
Yeah, it is.
You know,
Williams.
Creed actually sells those at their show. The 11 Scott Stapp jersey.
They should.
No joke.
They shouldn't.
Wait, real
Isn't
quick,
that
what-
awesome?
number 11, what would be your pecking order for if you saw that jersey from the front? Players
Scott
from-
Stapp, Cole Beasley, Micah Parsons.
Well, I'm kind of a psycho with this stuff, so the neck of the jersey, I couldn't think of anything that's of the last 15 years.
Yeah,
That's such an
V-neck.
old neck on that
If I-
thing. So that's why when I looked at it, it reminds me of like Drew Bledsoe. But just number 11 for the Dallas Cowboys, it's Micah Parsons now, but before him it was probably Roy Williams.
I think it would be Micah, but Roy Williams would be really close for me.
I would have Beasley over Roy Williams. I have more fond Cole Beasley football memories than Roy Williams.
For me, it has nothing to do with like on the field. It's just about what time of your life you were
Yeah.
in during that time. And when Roy Williams was traded for, I wasn't a Cowboys fan or anything, but you just remember that. Like I remember exactly where I was and how big of a moment that was for the Cowboys. So I think Roy Williams holds that spot for me.
All right, so we'll catch up after the game Thursday night. Again, audio podcast, all the same as they've always been, but we've also joined the Metroplex sports party that is the Haymaker Network. It's the newest sports network on YouTube. Plenty of things to watch already. There's the Haymaker Presents show, which is like an interview with Dirk. There's one with John Daniels. There's one with Travis Frederick. This week they dropped one with Michael Young, and it's so good. Like Rangers 2010 stories that I'd forgotten about and some that I didn't even know. His feud with John Daniels and how that got all worked out. It was really good. So go check that all out. So if you're listening to us on the podcast platforms, be sure to head over to YouTube and subscribe to the Haymaker Network for us and plenty more coming. It's free, That's the thing. Not many things are free anymore. For John Machota, for Saad Youssef, for Kent Garrison, I am Kevin KT Turner. We will see you next time on the One Star Cowboys podcast.
The One Star Cowboys Podcast. The One Star Cowboys Podcast. The One Star Cowboys Podcast. Presented by Haymaker. Presented by Haymaker. Presented by Haymaker.